Cardiovascular exercise, you got two picks. Either you're gonna pick this one, or you're gonna pick this one. Now let's explain when you should pick this one and when you should pick that one. First of all, high intensity interval training. High intensity interval training pretty much means doing high intense work for less time. On the other side, we have low intensity steady state cardio, which means doing low intensity kind of training for a bit longer, but also it's gonna be continuous work as well, but also low intensity, extremely low intensity most of the times. So which is actually better? We're gonna be looking at three things: fat loss, stress levels, and muscle growth. First of all, let's take a look at high intensity interval training. When it comes to stress, it is actually really bad. Because when you're doing a lot of these high intensity exercises, even though it is cardiovascular exercise, because once again it all depends on a pie chart. In a pie chart we have all the muscles actually trained by certain exercise, and boy oh boy, do we have a lot of muscles used in this exercise. So is it a cardiovascular exercise? Well, you could say. It's not gonna have that meaningful of an effect for any muscle group. However, it still can end up making you feel tired tomorrow because you still ended up doing a lot of work because there were so many muscles involved. So no, not any part in particular is gonna grow bigger. However, what is gonna happen is you're still gonna have a lot of stress put on your body, which is exactly why it's not really that good of a choice when it comes to overall stress levels, which can then impact your strength routines as well. When it comes to fat loss potential, it is gonna burn a lot of calories and also be quicker, but more intense, which can then obviously elevate stress as well, and also impair your strength routines, and also in general with your stress levels if you keep on going despite the tiredness, despite the fatigue at some point, and then also not actually be as good when it comes to overall health. So when it comes to fat loss, it is gonna be a good thing, but when it comes to muscle growth, it is gonna be really bad because again, it's gonna probably alter these other parts, and that's exactly why when people mention sprinting, for example, as this magic thing, it's actually not that magic of a thing after all. You know which exercise also elevates your growth hormone levels? Well, guess what? Just regular training in the gym, deadlifts, bench press, even bicep curls. Yeah, the more muscles you use, the higher the increase is gonna be because your body thinks, okay, we gotta repair those muscles, we gotta start some mechanisms. But yeah, compound lifts are also gonna increase your growth hormone. You don't have to resort to sprinting or something like that as a cardio exercise just because you read something that was taken out of context. Just a trivial question for the video. You know who actually has significantly increased growth hormone levels? Anorexic people! Yeah, that just pretty much proves my point, doesn't it? Now let's take a look at the low intensity steady state cardio. When it comes to stress, it's not gonna put that much stress on your body because it's really low intensity. However, it is gonna take a bit longer. So instead of doing this for 15 to 20 minutes, you're gonna be doing this for 45 minutes up to an hour. Now when it comes to fat loss, a lot of people have had this thought for quite a while actually, that low intensity steady state cardio actually burns more fat, because if it was high intensity training, your body would prefer more stored glucose rather than actually resorting to fat loss. And that all depends on zones of cardio and stuff like that. It sure is. It's not true at all. Your body is still gonna prefer the first base for energy, that is glucose, and only if there is none, if there is a caloric deficit present and similar, is there gonna be a fat loss present. And now when it comes to muscle growth, it is not gonna stress your body as much as high intensity effort, and that's pretty much the biggest pro compared to the high intensity variation, because it means that you're gonna be able to do both as you want. You're gonna be doing low intensity cardio for longer, and you're gonna be doing high intensity effort when it comes to strength training, just normally without being sore from high intensity cardio exercise. And now the final verdict is, if the goal is building muscle, then of course low intensity steady state cardio exercise is gonna be much better, because you're gonna be at your 100% rather than in your 80% because you were tired from high intensity cardio exercise as well. When it comes to fat loss, it's essentially gonna be the same because you're gonna burn calories. However, at the end of the day, still the calorie intake is gonna matter the most, so you don't even need cardio exercise to lose fat. You rather just need caloric deficit. Essentially just eating smaller portions of your meals and getting into caloric deficit that way, or perhaps getting rid of some snacks, and that's how we actually lose fat. So when it comes to all things considered, we have to acknowledge low intensity cardio activity as the best form of cardio. If you're a gym bro and not an athlete, if you're an athlete and you actually benefit, you are literally paid to actually participate in some events and stuff, you know, compete, then of course you are gonna continue doing the sport that you are doing, and be able to actually manage to squeeze in a few sessions here and there for strength training. while at the same time focusing a bit more on the sport, but also obviously maybe working some muscle groups that you use in your sport already, a bit less in the gym. So for example, footballers are not gonna be training their legs as much and so on. So again, balance is the key, and if you want to balance it out, you gotta actually prioritize one of these two, and if you benefit from this side and actually compete in that category, yeah, you're gonna continue doing it. If you just want to build some muscle, then you're gonna actually resort to this type of cardio activity, if you really need cardio activity for those goals, because it's not really essential, just a way to burn calories if you feel like you enter too many today. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and tell me what the next video should be about.